All right, picture this. You're at the most elite magical academy in the entire kingdom. The 8 circle judges are blasting a room full of students with the crushing, concentrated killing aura just to test their absolute limits. It is brutal. Everyone is collapsing. Some are literally throwing up yesterday's lunch on the floor. But right in the center of the room, there is one 14-year-old boy standing perfectly still.
While everyone else is crumbling under this insane pressure, our protagonist, Russell Raymond, is completely unaffected. The judges are actually panicking at this point. They crank up the intensity, but Russell just stands there staring blankly into space. I mean, he looks like a bugged NPC. But what those judges don't know, he isn't frozen in fear. He's literally just casually checking his brand new video game-style inventory system while the greatest mages in the room are absolutely losing their minds.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because to understand how Russell got so terrifyingly overpowered, you have to look at the contrast here. See, in his past life, Russell was born with this crippling condition called vein narrowing disease. Basically, his mana and his blood were stuck in permanent traffic. He couldn't cast spells, he got completely humiliated, expelled from the academy, and eventually died as a miserable, broken, third-rate mercenary. But now, that's the new Russell. He has regressed to the past, and this time it's like all the hacks are fully enabled.
So how exactly did he rewind time? Well, at rock bottom in that past life, he was working as a janitor, just dusting a museum. He touched an ancient dragon skeleton while wearing this mysterious dragon ring he'd found. The relic reacted, the ancient beast basically handed him its power, and boom, he has slingshotted right back in time to his miserable academy days. But the catch is, this time he brought a leveling system with him.
The absolute second he wakes up in the past, he's dragged into a bathroom by his old academy tormentors, Frederick and Anton. Now, in his first life, this was a moment of deep, deep humiliation. But now, a holographic blue system window pops up right in front of his face. It gives him his very first quest: teach the bullies a harsh lesson and earn a magical stone as a reward. To a hardened former mercenary with decades of combat experience, these arrogant kids aren't a threat. They're just free XP.
Frederick starts running his mouth, fully expecting the weak, crippled Russell to just cower in fear. Instead, Russell just smirks and hits him with his cold, deadpan comeback. Bug-faced bastard. When Frederick completely loses it and lunges at him wearing brass knuckles, Russell doesn't even flinch. He effortlessly catches the punch, twists the kid's wrist, and sweeps the floor with them using cheap, brutal mercenary martial arts. In the blink of an eye, quest complete.
The system rewards him with that low-grade magic stone, and it tells him to eat it. Literally, chew and swallow a rock. What happens next is this brutal, agonizing, but incredibly satisfying process. The stone detonates inside his stomach. It sends this violently glowing red mana forcing its way through his constricted, blocked veins like a battering ram. He just grinds through the grueling pain, and then, with a massive burst of energy, he forcefully draws a perfect, glowing, magical circle around his heart. He levels up and cures his own incurable disease by pure force of will.
But Russell isn't just a brute, right? He's a magical genius. He completely shocks his strict teacher, Professor Hubert, by perfectly outlining the 4 steps of casting magic: assimilation, mental imagery, construction, and manifestation. Russell proves that true magic isn't just about regurgitating textbooks like some amateur, it's about the courage to break past your limits using mental imagery. He casually transforms a flame into a sharp fire arrow right in his palm, totally shutting down the stubborn professor and proving he has this terrifyingly deep understanding of magical theory. This newfound power takes center stage in the practical combat arena. I mean, imagine the satisfaction of stepping into the ring with the guy who literally tortured you and leaving him unconscious in a smoking crater. Because that is exactly what happens. His old rival Anton, expecting an easy win, steps in and gets absolutely embarrassed. And Russell doesn't stop there. Thanks to a system quest offering bonus rewards for a winning streak, he points to the next bully and the next, stringing together an insane 14 flawless victories in a row. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Russell actually pulls this off against Anton. Anton's whole strategy is basically just spamming fire attacks until he runs out of breath. Super basic. But Russell, he is a tactician. When Anton throws up a fireproof shield, Russell instantly cancels his own fire spell, seamlessly transitions to a wind arrow to shatter the shield, and then immediately chains a lightning bolt directly into Anton's chest. It's this rapid-fire elemental adaptation that leaves the academy instructors completely slack-jawed.
Of course, Russell's explosive growth catches the attention of the absolute highest tier of society. Enter Master Darius Snow White. She is an eccentric 8th Circle mage, over 80 years old but looking like a teenager, and she walks around eating a giant lollipop. She bumps into Russell in the restricted faculty library and instantly recognizes the terrifyingly pure flow of his mana. She drops a quick piece of advice, tells him to grow to his limits, and casually teleports away. That brief meeting, it totally sets the stage for his intense future training. Following a hidden system map, Russell soon finds himself trapped in a brutal, freezing trial, facing down a horde of huge ice golems. And regular fire magic just isn't enough to pierce their thick armor. So what does he do? He rapidly creates 5 separate fire arrows, forces them together under immense pressure, and compresses them into a massive, intensely glowing weapon, the Fire Spear. He shatters the golem's cores in a single devastating strike, passes the trial, and claims a legendary dragon horn. Daria eventually tracks him down again and decides to test his real-world combat skills. She brings him on a high-stakes raid against a pirate ship dealing in human trafficking. And the division of labor here is just insane. Up above, Daria floats high in the night sky, acting as this glowing aerial decoy, literally dropping lava and self-replicating hellfire dwarves onto the deck. Meanwhile, Russell stealthily infiltrates the ship's brig, electrocuting guards and rescuing a group of kidnapped high elves. Down in the belly of the ship, Russell faces the vice captain, an aura-wielding knight who hits hard enough to shatter magical defenses instantly. But Russell falls back on his past life mercenary knowledge. He employs the double shield stacking technique. He silently casts a second, hidden magic shield right behind the first one. The knight shatters the front shield and totally thinks he's won, but his blade violently bounces off that hidden second layer. Russell uses that split-second shock to blast the knight across the room. Tactical genius at its finest. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer speed of his magical scaling. Most mages spend a literal lifetime trying to reach the higher circles. Russell blasts into the 3rd circle during his summer break. Shortly after, a spirit contract rockets him straight to the 4th circle, and by mastering an original fire construct spell, he officially becomes the youngest 6th circle mage in recorded history. He leaves every other prodigy in the kingdom just eating his dust. But pure power isn't enough. Daria wants him to have mobility. She forces him to learn Blink, an advanced spatial distortion magic. And her teaching method? Yeah, it's pushing him off a high, rocky cliff, over and over again. Russell repeatedly falls, screaming into the river below, until he finally grasps how to ignite his fire mana to literally bend space itself. He manages to instantly teleport from one cliff edge to another right before hitting the water. One of the absolute biggest leaps in his power comes from his spirit contract. Guided by the high elf Lady Elo into his own mental dreamscape, Russell confronts the immense trauma of his past life. He actually manages to connect with the spirit of the Forgotten King, a literal red dragon. When he wakes up, a tiny, incredibly cute but fierce baby red dragon is sitting on his head, nibbling his hair. But don't let the cuteness fool you. This contract instantly floods his body with massive, overwhelming dragon mana, pushing him leagues past the limits of ordinary humans. All this brutal training pays off when the kingdom is suddenly attacked by the Empire. Russell comes face to face with Swordmaster McCrae Hughes, the man who murdered his father. In this bloody, desperate, high-speed battle, Russell unleashes his ultimate form, Draconification. Covered in blazing red dragon scales and boosting his physical muscles with raw, crackling electricity, Russell moves at superhuman speeds, completely obliterating the Swordmaster and avenging his family right there on the scorched battlefield. His heroics earn him the attention of the king himself, and he acquires an ancient artifact, the legendary Crown of Solomon. But this isn't just a fancy piece of jewelry. When Russell syncs with it, his mind is transported into a mystical blue void. The crown acts as an internal magical supercomputer, calculating incredibly complex formulas in milliseconds and essentially acting as a backup consciousness. It makes his already terrifying spellcasting mathematically flawless and instantaneous. So the crucial point is, by the time he is just 20 years old, Russell has cured a terminal magical disability, mastered ancient relics, contracted a literal dragon, and become the youngest 6th Circle mage in record history. He is officially awarded the title of Count by the King, given his own territories, and stands proudly in the royal banquet hall, not as a fallen noble, but as the Kingdom of Endyminion's absolute ultimate weapon. But of course, peace never lasts, right? As its explainer winds down, we are left looking at a massive storm-gathering horizon. Russell's insane growth has completely disrupted the balance of power on the entire continent. He packs his bags for his next mission, revealing his true destination, the heart of their sworn enemy, the British Empire. So what does this all mean? Is total, continent-spanning war truly inevitable? With Russell at the front lines, you can bet it's going to be explosive. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next deep dive.